Hey guys, Emerald Gimma here. So, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing all of the awesome books that I've read this summer. So that's why I titled it Summer Reads. As you guys know, I'm a teacher, and so in the summertime, I'm not working. So I use that time to catch up on books that I bought like in the spring semester or whatever throughout the year, but I haven't had time to like fully read them all. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first book that I read this summer was Turning 15 on the Road to Freedom by Linda Blackman Lowry. Beautiful cover. So I bought this for my kids since I teach history. I don't know. So this story is about the civil rights movement for African Americans to get the right to vote. So this was really good. It's a middle grade book. So it wasn't anything new that I didn't already know, but it was alright. The second book that I read was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Really great cover. I picked this up at the Scholastic Book Fair at my school this past spring. And so the cover looked great. I knew there was a movie about it, so that's why I wanted to pick it up. So this book is pretty much talks about a boy and his grandfather dies. And so he's just going kind of like crazy trying to figure out what happened to his grandfather. And it sends him on like an adventure. And so he goes to this island where his grandfather used to be an orphan. And he tries to like rediscover who his grandfather was. And in the midst of him doing this, he discovers that magic is like real. And all of the things his grandfather was telling him wasn't really fantasies. It was real life. So it was a good book. Alright, the third book that I read this summer is like, whew. Alright, so it's Kirsten Hanna, The Nightingale. Guys, look how thick. Okay? This is the longest book I think I've ever read so far. It's 567 pages long. So you know I was not doing anything this summer. But anyway, the first part started slow. The ending went kind of fast. But for the most part, it was a good book. It's historical fiction. It's set in World War II. The most of the book takes place in Paris. It follows two sisters, Isabel and Vienna, and how they managed to survive the times in World War II. And it was a good book. It was a really good book. The book goes back and forth from like present time, and then it goes back to the 1940s during World War II. And so it's a really good book. The whole time you think you're reading from one person's point of view, and then at the end you realize you're not, and you're like, what? And I was like, oh, I wanted to cry at the end because one of the sisters doesn't survive. But it's crazy. But it's a really good book. It's very interesting to get the point of view of World War II dealing with Nazi Germany. But they're not Jewish. So it's different. You don't get the Jewish point of view, or so it's good to see like all of the German soldiers. They wasn't bad. Like they thought they were really doing a good cause, and how everyone suffered in the war. Not everybody, but for the most part, the majority of the people suffered. But always you had the bad people that were racist. But it's a good book. The next book I read was An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. So this book was about, it's a black author as well. This book was about a marriage, two black people who were married, and just the struggles they went through. The husband is wrongly convicted of rape in the South, and so He gets arrested and spends time in prison. And so that leaves his wife vulnerable, by herself. And it just goes back and forth between all the problems they dealt with as a marriage and how they dealt with them. This book really, it rocked my boat as far as marriage is concerned. And like when people make commitments, I really want you to stick to your commitment that you made, but it's a roller coaster. It's a good book though. And the last book I read this summer was Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strayer. And that's this book. Pretty cover as well. And this book was just about a group of friends in the suburb and like their trials and how one of the one of the friends runs away from home. The wives, and she takes her kids because her husband is being abusive, but everybody thinks he's like this perfect doctor. And it's pretty much about trying to find her and the kids. And that's pretty much about it. So this one was okay. It was a little bit of a suspense, but it was alright. So those are all the books that I read this summer. August is like right around the corner, so I don't think I'll be able to read any more books. I do have 2 books left, but I don't think I'm going to get to them. So, yes. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.